Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Gemini, Sun, Moon and Ascendant for the month of October. Hope you're all well. Right, using the Llewellyn today for you. So let's just crack on and see what the cards say. So can I have 3 cards for Gemini, please? The first card we have is the Two of Swords. Six of Cups for your current energy. And what's going towards Gemini? Got the Nine of Wands. This is interesting. There's no major arcana here, although the World card did fall out to the side. Well, I'm just going to put that back in because it didn't jump. But the fact that it's shown its face is interesting. And on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Two of Pentacles. Now that talks about... In the first instance, it talks about balancing, and although it's a Pentacles card, and therefore it refers to resources of some description, it's quite often water depicted, very choppy, you know, kind of maelstrom water behind the cards, although it does actually vary. It's one of the cards that varies the most in interpretation between decks. Sometimes they look positively gleeful about what it is that they're trying to balance, and other times they seem quite stricken and in some peril. And I feel like in the Llewellyn, that's kind of what we've got going on here. Because there's a lot of water depicted, there's some sort of emotional turmoil going on there that requires being brought back into balance. Okay, so I'm going to get some clarifiers. I'm going to use this one. And then we'll get on with this and see what this is all about. Let's have that Two of Swords, please. We've got the Ace of Pentacles come out to clarify the Two of Swords, and oh, that's interesting. The Knight of Cups and the Chariot. We'll put those together. I only really wanted 2 cards for that, but I got 3, so there we are. Oh my god. It's just red hair all over my table and in my eye. Right, why is the Six of Cups here for Gemini, please? That was the Page of Wands. It is indeed the Page of Wands. And the Ace of Wands. That's 2 aces. Intriguing. Tell me about the Nine of Wands, please. We have the Temperance card. It's interesting, both the Nine of Wands and Temperance are Sagittarian energy. Aha! And the Wheel of Fortune, which is also, for me, Sagittarian energy. It's ruled by Jupiter and therefore comes to speak of that. So, we've got the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. And in fact, we've got 2 queens flanking a Two of Cups here, right? I'm not going to pull into this too much at the moment, but queens are obviously the feminine aspects of energy, so it's quite receptive. And I'm going to leave it there for a second because I feel like we'll come back to it. And I don't want to speak too much before I've kind of worked out what's going on here. So, the first card that you've got that's in your recent past is the Two of Swords. Now, those of you who've watched my videos for any length of time will know that when this card comes out, I usually kind of frown a little bit at it because I'm not a big fan. Because for me, often it speaks of a willful refusal to make a decision about something which imputes emotion and intuition into the decision-making process, right? This is a purely intellectual decision. She's got a blindfold on, she's got her back to the water, and she's got her back to the moon, right? And all of these things are very important. So there's an aspect of it that suggests that there's internal stuff that you are not paying attention to, internal drives that we would see, often indicated by the moon, as well as being intuition. Talking about the subconscious, the non-conscious, that kind of thing, right? Where your shadow is in charge of stuff, right? Completely not paying any attention to that whatsoever. And then the water is the emotion. Now, it then comes to feel like you're sort of stuck, or you have been sort of stuck in something. You know that there's a decision to be made, but the fact that you are choosing to not consult your emotions about things, not consult your inner, intuition, or see what your shadow's doing, something like that, kind of suggests to me that should you do that, then the way would be clear. You would know exactly what it was that you needed to do. But for some reason, you can't pull back from that, because that requires a course of action that actually you really don't want to take, or you haven't wanted to take. So we kind of flatten the decision-making process, with these two swords, which are the two options, which are in effect, essentially identical. And try and make the decision about those, except that we know that it's not about those. Now, what is underpinning this? Well, we have a number of interesting cards. The first one that came out is the Ace of Pentacles. And this talks about, it can talk about new opportunities. So you can talk about, new jobs, promotion, new house even. It usually indicates something that is affecting your material existence in some way. So, an improvement in your finances, or an improvement in the quality of your, the house that you live in, or the area that you live in, something like that. But ultimately, it's an opportunity that is profit to you. Now, it's interesting that this should have come out underneath this here, because it seems like you were presented, or have been presented, with an opportunity which on the face of it looks like it's really quite good. So why would you not take this? And I feel like that's what these two cards are talking about here. We've got the Knight of Cups and the Chariot. The Chariot is the card of Cancer in the Major Arcana, but it speaks very much of will and autonomy. Now, there are other aspects to this card, and may or may not get into those, not least of which is that this is a card that speaks to me about shadow work, right? The process of integrating the shadow into oneself, because it's about autonomy, it's about victory, it's about you deciding which way you are going to go, and it's about holding in alignment polarities, right? So all of the bits of you that make you have to be held in perfect alignment. Also, everyone has, masculine and feminine energies. Everybody has negative and positive polarities, not in like necessarily good and bad, but just working differently. And in order to move forwards, this Charity has got to hold it, right? Like this, and move forwards. There's something disruptive about this opportunity that came towards you, and it's made you feel uncomfortable. And I'm not entirely sure why, but certainly part of it feels like it may have either required you to move, to travel, in whatever sense, whether that is, literally having to uproot yourself and move to, the other end of the planet, or the next town over, or whether, you would have to move position within a company, or you would have to move to a different place of employment, or, that you would need potentially to set up alone. Maybe you've been thinking about setting up your own business, becoming self-employed, something like that. Right? The other thing that it could say is that actually it would be the removal of that ability for you to be able to do things. So you could not move, under your own steam in a particular direction, because you would be enthralled to whatever this new opportunity was, the restrictions that would necessarily impose. Let's have a look and see if we can get any more clarification on that. Now, I've kind of gone with an either or here, because that Ace of Pentacles came out by itself, and the Knight of Cups and the Chariot came out separately, both cards that talk about movement, right? And the Two of Swords is one thing or another. And go with the Wild Unknown. Spin that round. So this Ace of Pentacles. Ooh. Oh. Now this is intriguing, Gemini, because I asked for two cards that clarified the, I was actually going for one, that clarified the Ace of Pentacles, and what I got was two, and they are two nines, right? This is approaching completion, but this is about you, right? And I always think the nines are about the individual, and what we've got are two nines that sit at opposite ends of the spectrum to each other, because we've got the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles, right? But I guess they're not exactly opposite. The Nine of Cups would probably be a more opposite card to the Nine of Swords, right? But here we've got self-sufficiency and independence, and here we have worry and concern. To put it mildly, we've got worry and concern. There's a deep sense of responsibility about this opportunity. I mean, the other way of looking at this is that perhaps these are not one or the other options. Perhaps this is all one thing. So the opportunity for you to do something under your own steam, right? Go out into the world and take something with you, because we've got that movement with the Knight of Cups there. Something that is important to you that you are bringing out into the world. Is putting a layer of responsibility onto you that is really actually doing your noggin in at the moment, right? It's kind of like you want it, but you don't. Yeah, as I'm speaking, the truth of that feels now like my internal tuning fork is kind of dinging a little bit more, right? This is why you're putting off making the decision about things. You are being held back by fear, or at least you have been being held back by fear in some way. And this does not have to be a job. Like I said, it can be. It could be a promotion, it could be you setting up your own business, but it could be any kind of move that you are trying to make in your life, any kind of change, something new, which is going to require you to stand on your own, right? Be in charge of everything. There seems to be a removal of a layer of something that you need to report to going on here, and it's absolutely shitting you up at the moment. It's what you want, but you're terrified of it at the same time. Oh, that's interesting, Gemini. Right, so I just want to point out before I go any further that the shadow card at the bottom of the deck there, after pulling those two clarifiers, is the World, which is a card of, you know, ends of cycles. It's coming to an end of the cycle that you're in currently, like a graduation, like a moving up, right? It's the last card of the major arcana. From here you go to the Fool, and that seems like it would be a very natural progression from where you are right here. Oh, I've got an eyelash stuck in my eye or something. Oh, it feels like a fucking tree branch. Oh. So, moving into your current energy, what we've got is the Six of Cups. Now, this is a card of the past for me. It can talk about childhood, but I mean, it can talk about a lot of things. It can talk about past lives and stuff like that. But it talks about the past. And more than that, it sort of talks about a reflection on the past, right? That's how it comes to me in childhood and things like that. The way I see it is that it is a point here looking back to a point here, right? It's not going back to where it is, it's looking back. And you are in reflective mood about this. It's clarified by two Wands cards, which are cards of action, the cards of movement, right? Page of Wands and the Ace of Wands, which are both, incidentally, the two cards that I would associate with a new start in something. You've got the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Does actually scream entrepreneurship, right? You know, the setting up of a new business, having a really good idea about something and kind of wanting to run with it. Now, why are you looking back at the past at the moment when we've got these cards that speak of moving into the future, right, and taking action into the future? Let's have a look. Why is this card of the past here? Just noticed that the Magician card has flipped there, but it's not jumped out. Oh, there we go. I finally got one. And it's the Ace of Wands again. Right, so I just want to show you that that's the Magician there, which is your card as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but this, I don't know. I went through this whole kind of train of thought when I was really considering the Magician card. It was like abracadabra. Like, that's not just a, you know, children's party thing. It literally means I create as I speak. And Gemini, you speak. You know, and the two things seem to be inextricably linked in my mind. So for me, the Magician is the card of Gemini. Oh no, it's the Knight of Wands. It's just fucking wands everywhere. So So we've got something new blossoming in you here. There's a spark of something, right? And it's passionate and it's creative and it's got incredible drive, actually. The Ace of Wands is a card of inspiration. It's a card of getting a really fucking good idea and then, you know, the thought of running with this idea, kind of making your blood run hot. Whenever I see the Page of Wands, I also get this kind of this frisson, you know, this kind of like butterflies in your stomach, because it's the precursor to movement. It's the excitement about taking something on and doing something new. And for him, it's not really actually about doing the job. It's about all of the other things that he gets to experience while he's doing it. And I think for the Wand suit specifically, that experience of being in the moment is something that is spoken to very, very strongly, right, in this suit. So Six of Cups, why is there this reflection? The Moon and the Page, holy shit. That's astonishing. So we've got 2 pages and we've got 2 aces of wands, right? You're getting ready to move, Gemini. There's something. Right. Okay. I see what the reflection is now, because the card that's come out to clarify, pulled another one for there. I'm just going to ignore these doubled up ones here because I've spoken to those and I think that we understand what they are. It's the Moon, right? It's the card of Cancer in the major arcana, but it is that card of looking within, right? We've already spoken somewhat about the Moon here because you have, up until this point, been kind of refusing to look at what it is that you're terrified about. It feels like your current energy in the month of October is actually a contemplation of what it is exactly that is scaring you about this new move, because you're excited about it, right? This has got legs. It feels like it has legs for you. It feels like it's an authentic expression of something that you are really, really passionate about, but you're terrified at the same time, right? But you're choosing to look at it now in a way that you haven't been doing up until this point. We've got the Justice card at the bottom of the deck, which does talk about, well, it talks about, in the first instance, talks about balance. It can talk about legal matters, actually, just to bring it down to the 3D level for just a second. Any kind of legal proceedings can be indicated by the Justice card. So, you know, obvious things like divorce and you know, criminal proceedings and things like that. But it also covers, you know, contracts and that sort of thing. While we're on the subject, I should just point out that we've got a Mercury retrograde coming up in this month. The date escapes me. I think it's around about the second week of October. And the general guidance for that is that during the retrograde period, avoiding kind of instigating new things is a good plan, you know, avoiding signing new contracts, or, you know, and if you absolutely have to, then go over them twice, 3 times, get a second opinion, that kind of thing, right? It's the energy of the retrograde is more about reflection, and perhaps actually this is what we're talking about here. Maybe this is why you are in a reflective frame of mind at the moment, because it's about making sure that you have every T crossed and every I dotted before you move forwards. Maybe this is part of how you assuage what it is that you're actually terrified about, you know, by being really attentive, really paying attention to the close detail of the thing, you know. What's there? Planning and preparation prevent piss poor performance. I think somebody said that on the members live stream the other day, and it's absolutely correct, right? All the P's. That's perhaps how you get around what it is that you're terrified about. Now, what you're terrified about in regard to this is going to vary between all of you, absolutely. You know, some of you will be setting up a new business, some of you will be thinking about emigrating, some of you may be thinking about starting a family, or so. Like, do you see how there are so many different ways in which this energy can come to pass with what you're dealing with at the moment? But there's great excitement, like really great excitement here. You've just got to conquer these things that are kind of at the moment actually trying to hold you back, right? Your terror will stop you from moving, but your hooves are starting to stamp, like you kind of pawing the ground and getting ready to go. Whenever I see the Justice card and the Wheel of Fortune together in one reading, that speaks to me about, you know, big lessons. We've already had the World card come up. We see you coming to the end of a cycle with something and definitely starting something new. But it isn't just about this thing here. There's something wider that you're kind of closing out here, and it's quite likely the dealing with whatever it is that is terrifying you at the moment, right? So it's good to bear in mind. So what's coming towards you is the Nine of Wands. Now, I usually interpret this card as boundaries, right? The erection of good boundaries, the maintenance of boundaries, you know, the reflecting on your boundaries, making everything sure that everything is right and proper where it is. But it feels to me like, actually in this case, what we're talking about is the potential of a setback to your plan, right? Now, this doesn't mean that your plan is not going to happen. I should just put that in. But it is in some way setback or delayed, or things are kind of put into your path, little obstacles that are frustrating but not insurmountable. Tell me Nine of Wands, please. Yeah, we've got the Two of Wands. That's interesting. Can I get one more from that, please? Ooh, it's very wand heavy reading for you here. And what's come out is the Nine of Wands clarified by the Nine of Wands, which I'm actually going to take as clarification for what I was just saying there. There are things coming up here, right? Some of the setbacks might actually be your understanding of what's going on with you internally. Right, there's a distinct possibility that as you get an insight into what it is that's actually scaring you, that it adjusts in some way actually what it is that you're wanting to achieve, or how you go about it in some way. Now, I did say we had the Wheel of Fortune down there, and we have the Temperance card and the Wheel of Fortune, and we also have, as I've put it here, like I've put the two Nine of Wands cards together, Temperance and the Wheel of Fortune is together, and without even thinking about it, I put the Two of Wands in between the two, right? So it's touching all four cards. And what it feels like is that there are delays, there are things that are going to come up, there are going to be temporary frustrations. But what they're doing is kind of bringing you back to not only yourself and your own internal workings, but the things that you are planning to do. Right? It's giving you an opportunity to go back over it and make sure that this is exactly what you want and this is how you want it. I just want to point out here that actually the Nine of Cups is at the bottom of the deck here. This is all about what you want, right? What will make you happy, how you make yourself happy. Because as you work through whatever it is that scares you, it may be that what it is that makes you happy, or how you understand how your happiness presents itself, all of these kind of things might actually subtly shift. Now, as you know, you just shift off something a tiny little bit at the beginning, and it'll send you in an entirely different direction once you're, a year down the road. All these just little micro adjustments. But this is what you're being called to do in October, and it's really, really important because it helps you balance yourself out before you move forwards. It's actually, I wouldn't say guaranteeing, but it is giving you more of an opportunity to actually get what it is that you want in the long run by coming back and going over things a second time and a third time, whether that is literally paperwork in front of you, or that is how you feel about the thing, why you are so scared, what it is that you are holding yourself back from, that kind of thing. Because actually there are some big wheels in motion around you at the moment, Gemini, and I feel like to a degree most of you are unaware of kind of what is clunking into place. This is sort of feels like aligning you up like a gear, ready to match into what is the new thing that's coming towards you. This is really, really fascinating, Gemini. I really, really like this. So I'm going to leave it here. If you're interested in an extended, if this has resonated with you at all, there's one down below in the description box. If you just follow the link to Vimeo, you can come and join me over there. And we'll pull this apart a little bit and see if we can't get some more information about it and do some advice and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I love you all very much, and I will see you very soon.